he's actually executing exactly to plan. And so if you're investing in a stock, what you really want is a CEO to kind of stick to a plan that is well known. So we don't have to actually guess what the plan is because he puts it out on the website. Look at the master plan part 2. And if you start reading down, everything that he said he's going to do starting in 2016 is basically what it is. So let's take the first part, right?
He is actually carrying out the plan exactly. So if you are investing in stocks, you really want a CEO to sort of follow a well-known strategy so that we don't have to guess what it is since he posts it on the website. If you start reading the master plan part 2, you'll see that it essentially outlines what he stated he would do beginning in 2016. Let's start with the first section, shall we? In the first section, what did he say? He stated, hey, listen guys, this is 2016. We're going to build Model 3. We're going to build a compact SUV, the Model Y. We're going to build a new kind of pickup truck. All right, keep checking and checking. He continued, oh, by the way, we're also probably going to have to do a heavy-duty truck and a high passenger density urban transport vehicle. In August, he will make an announcement regarding the robotaxi. All right, double check. After that, he discusses the software and the investment in FSD in an effort to reach a point where there is a much greater chance that it will prevent an accident and keep you safe while operating your vehicle, which will be a major factor in the decision of people to purchase the cars themselves. Additionally, these FSD miles are visible. In other words, if you're a wise capital manager, you observed a dislocated stock price. What you witnessed was a plan that he has been strategically carrying out for the most part. There are the vicissitudes underneath. What are the fluctuations? You need to cut some fat when you overhire. CapEx can occasionally be overspent. He now spent over $1 billion in capital expenditures this quarter on AI infrastructure, which included H100s for training. However, the market accepted this since it was a fair amount of money to spend on FSD training, isn't it? So that you may begin to understand the story of these two responses. Okay, you missed by $2.5 billion this quarter, but that's going to create a buying opportunity because we think it's roughly mispriced. The sharps remarked after reviewing the capital allocation. And we believe it is mispriced because, recalling this 2016 plan, we have been underwriting all of these things from $40 billion in market capitalization to $750, and now we are receiving a 40% buyback discount. Thus, I believe it's a really fascinating time to simply compare and contrast what the media wildly exaggerates with what sharps observe. They wanted to dump on Elon, but the sharps rejected that on both occasions, and I believe they wanted to lionize an earnings story, but they rejected that as well. Additionally, it serves as a warning to everyone to read carefully, because if you only looked at the headlines, you would have assumed that the two responses would be diametrically opposed. However, voting with money makes things extremely plain and unmistakable, since you are genuinely moving in the direction of accuracy. And the stock market gives you the ability to observe that. And I believe that this comparison between squares and sharps is a particularly intriguing one. Yes, that's the quick answer, I mean. The reason, I believe, is that it required people. You see, I purchased a Tesla somewhere around 2014. I was among the biggest debtors of the convertible. You know, I thought that was the safest method to place a wager on Tesla. It has proven to be a huge success, I guess, and I really think Elon is doing the right thing. He is, in my opinion, the most significant businessman of our time. People haven't accepted the fact that they will now be a recognized automaker for 15 years. However, my wager was on something more significant when I underwrote the investment. It will take another 5 or 10 years for people to realize what this next innovation arc is, and I believe that Elon is well past starting an automobile firm. And the deregulation of energy is what that is. Upon closer inspection, utilities spend tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars annually on capital expenditures worldwide. They are subject to strict regulations. They feel totally secure. They believe they can issue debt indefinitely. They can do a lot of harm to the environment or to other things. Take PG&E, for example, and still escape with no harm because they are protected. With the exception of the whole bottoms-up disruption of energy, which is occurring and was not anticipated by anyone. And that is the sole method by which this matter will be deregulated. It won't be required by law or decree. It won't be a major, all-encompassing rival, you know. The reason for this is that every home installs hydro panels, solar panels, batteries, and software that essentially enables them to live off the grid. Eventually, they will transfer their excess energy into battery solutions and other devices that are managed by governments, cities, and towns, who will then, at the very least, stop their use of peers. After that, their usage patterns will diverge significantly from those of conventional utilities. That is the power that Tesla provides. It is able to be a multi-trillion-dollar company because of this. Does it have the same return profile as when I purchased it, which is currently $25 or $30 per share? Obviously not. However, is it possible for it to be higher than it is now? Of course. My comparison would be that Elon essentially performed the equivalent. He was able to launch a rocket into space, carry out a variety of fascinating, incredibly fruitful, and beneficial tasks for the planet while there, and then return to Earth and land on a boat in the middle of the ocean. To be completely honest, the level of technical complexity he has been able to deploy throughout his organizations is unmatched. Therefore, when we examine Tesla, we believed that the company was at a turning point that was comparable to its own version of the iPhone moment. And by that, I mean a business that had been maturing, taking chances, and eventually discovered the mass market product, the Model 3, that would open up a huge amount of product market fit. As of right now, I would say that he is fulfilling his commitment to commercialize electrification and offer an amazing user experience at a price point that, to be honest, has cannibalized its rivals. And based on the outcomes, I believe that the business is now developing in response to all of that demand. So, once more, is it the ideal business to drive and monitor accuracy and performance from quarter to quarter? No. However, if you'd like to stand back and consider the next 3 to 5 years, you could ask, where can I compound my money? What makes it so lovely, especially for converts, is that it is downside protected because it is stacked on top of all other debt and equity. Because of this, they receive payment first if you are worried about liquidity problems or that the company could have to sell. Therefore, it seemed like a safe choice for our generation's Edison. The reason is that he and the insiders do not, regrettably, have adequate control over the common stock. It is run by a group of vulture-like venture and hedge funds, the majority of which are hedge funds, who like taking advantage of that business. For instance, there is a significant amount of sniping and hype going on when you look at the Twitter or forum discussion surrounding Tesla. All of that suggests to me that the market is firmly in the hands of financial manipulators and beyond the founders' and executives' control. In my opinion, you should purchase the bonds. You're safe. And let Elon do what he can, even if it means doing his hardest. He releases numbers that are aggressive. He makes an effort to reach such figures. He occasionally overlooks such figures. Which would you prefer? He frequently fails to meet the figures, but that's great because if you look back 5 years and ask yourself, what has he promised in 2014 to what is he doing in 2019? You'll be thrilled. In a similar vein, let the man perform his job if you go back in time and say 2019 to 2024. Will our situation as a planet, a species, as people, and as consumers improve or deteriorate? We will benefit more. The Model 3 is an amazing vehicle. I recently purchased one. It's amazing. I purchased it the right manner, with funds guaranteed. What exactly was that? Well, perhaps he crossed the line. What I'm trying to say is that you're getting sucked into the window decoration. I'm concentrating on the main dish. On the table is the main course. As the buyer or